I'm going to start today with something very pithy and simple that I know is going to get some of my audience upset with me, and that's okay because we can disagree, I think, which is that Barack Obama, former president, was right to say that the defund the police slogan is not a good slogan and that it needs to be completely renamed. And I'm actually reminded of the Ronald Reagan quote. If you are explaining, you are losing. Ronald Reagan was correct. And Republicans seem to get this. This is one of the biggest failures of the left. If you look at the work of people like Thomas Frank and George Lakoff in particular about naming and framing and slogans, the left is absolutely terrible at this. And when you have to explain, well, when I said defund, I meant this other thing, you're already losing. So let's kind of go through it in layers. Actually defunding and eliminating the police as a big picture plan doesn't make any sense. We've talked about this before. It's not reasonable. It's not practical. It's not going to happen in any framework that we can imagine. Even places that, quote, have done it, haven't really done it. Sometimes they've just separated up police departments into different subgroups or units or whatever the case may be. Now, some people are saying defund the police, but they mean something else. They mean, we'll reform mostly. In some places, we'll have fewer police. In others, we'll demilitarize and we'll change how prosecution is done. Well, now you're explaining away a slogan that doesn't really represent what you mean. So why are you using the slogan anyway? And I've been talking about this since day one of this slogan during the George Floyd protests. I put out like a 10 or 12 point plan for how I would reform the police. And many in my audience agreed with demilitarization, training as social workers, extending police training periods, stopping what I call low effort policing. It's a very long list, which you can go back to. And there were some in my audience who furiously did not agree with me. And I presume that those same folks aren't going to like what Barack Obama said. So what did Barack Obama say? Let's take a look at that.
If you believe, as I do, that we should be able to reform the criminal justice system so that it's not biased and treats everybody fairly, I guess you can use a snappy slogan like defund the police, but you know you've lost a big audience the minute you say it, which makes it a lot less likely that you're actually going to get the changes you want done. But if you instead say, let's reform the police department so that everybody's being treated fairly, divert young people from getting into crime. And if there's a homeless guy, maybe we send a mental health worker there instead of an armed unit that could end up resulting in a tragedy. Suddenly, a whole bunch of folks who might not otherwise listen to you are listening to you. So the key is deciding, do you want to actually get something done, or do you want to feel good among the people you already agree with? And if you want to get something done in a democracy, in a country as big and diverse as ours, then you've got to be able to meet people where they are and play a game of addition and not subtraction.
This is simply pragmatism, and Barack Obama actually lists many of the exact same reforms that I suggested in my list some months ago. Barack Obama is making the exact same case that I made about actually getting things done. That's what I care about. I want to get things done. Think about it in those terms. There are millions of people in the United States who believe the police should be reformed, and you even have allies on areas of the right on that idea. You have some on the libertarian right who want to reform the drug policing piece of police departments. You have some on the religious right that want community programs rather than prison for certain crimes. You have people like me on the left who want to end the war on drugs and police militarization and solve the problem of it being so difficult to hold bad actors accountable due to a system that favors police when they're charged with crimes and prevents this global national bad actors database. All these different things. You have all these different people who could conceivably work together on this. And then you have a tiny portion of people who actually just want police flatly defunded and eliminated in some cases. So if what you mean by defund is the things I mentioned and the things that Barack Obama mentioned, then you simply lose potential allies when the slogan is defund the police, end the police. So I just don't have time when things are so critical to be toying around with slogans that are going nowhere anyway. Defund the police sounds like you're saying we should take funding away from police who are bad and do away with police as an institution. Now, some people do think that. If you're somebody who thinks that, we just disagree. Most people don't think that. They think something closer to my reform plan. So by using the slogan, you're immediately trying to explain what you really mean, and that means that you're losing. Let me give you one further example. One of the things we need are police officers from more diverse backgrounds. And I'm not talking, racially or religiously or economically even, although that would be good. I'm talking culturally. You find that in many cities, police are disproportionately from conservative rural areas outside the city. One thing that will help fix police is more people who would do the job the way we want them to do the job. People who are from and even live in those cities. Now, typically, the cities are more expensive than the rural areas. So sometimes police being underpaid and not being able, people in cities can't live in the cities on a police salary. That's why you get people from the rural conservative areas coming in, because they can come in and then live in the cheaper areas. You might have to increase funding in those cases for salaries to get more cultural diversity in the police department. So how does defund the police help achieve that? It doesn't. Now, there's a reasonable counterpoint from people, including Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who says you don't start with the safe ask, you start with more and you negotiate back. The problem with that is specifically with a slogan like defund the police. Tons of people tune out because it sounds wacky. It's not like, hey, listen, we'd like $22 an hour. So we'll ask for it and we'll negotiate down to 15 because everybody will participate in the negotiation. No, it's not. We would love Medicare for all, but we would negotiate to a strong public option to start. And then next year we come back with Medicare for all. If you want to get rid of police altogether, you immediately get a rejection from a lot of the people that are in the reform, and they see you as a non-serious actor. And it stops the conversation. So, yes, I agree with President Obama. I think he's absolutely right here. And we're going to damage our own ability to fix the problems that we've identified by using slogans like defund when it's not what most people mean, and it's never going to happen anyway. Tell me where I'm wrong. I'm ready to have a bigger discussion about it. What if you could read 10 books in just one sitting? That's exactly what one of my favorite apps lets you do. It's called Blinkist. And what they do is take thousands of popular nonfiction books. They condense them down into text or audio that you can consume in 15 minutes. Blinkist makes sure that you're getting all of the important core insights from each book. So it's perfect for exploring a book you otherwise wouldn't have time for. If there's a full book you're thinking about buying, you can use Blinkist to get a sample first. Just think how much you can enrich yourself by being able to soak up an entire nonfiction book in just 15 minutes. I recently checked out the book Podcast Marketing Strategy by Daniel Rolls and Kieran Rogers, and so useful, so particularly applicable to what I'm doing. Really recommend it. Blinkist has books on politics, philosophy, science. They have 27 different nonfiction categories, and a subscription is only about $8 a month, and you get the entire library. But you can try it totally free and get 25% off a subscription when you go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. I've put the link right underneath this video.